A.B. Stoddard is an associate editor and columnist for Real Clear Politics. Guy Benson is a Fox News contributor, political editor for townhall.com. Welcome to both of you.
Hey, John.
Take on that point, Guy, first of all. You know, the Speaker of the House saying this is a symptom of the problem that we do not have control of our borders. The fact of the matter is, he's right. No matter what you think about the children who came here who are now basically adults, 26 years old on average, it is part of the immigration problem that results in this mess that Washington is facing now.
For sure. And I think when you look at DACA and then the follow-on order from President Obama, DAPA with a P, which dealt with all the parents, millions of adult illegal immigrants, that was a magnet for that crisis along the southern border in 2013 and 2014 of unaccompanied minors based on rumors in Latin America that there was going to be an amnesty and that kids would be allowed to stay. So if you're going to fix the dreamer problem, and I think that Congress absolutely should, it's the fair and it's the right thing to do, and I think President Trump has made that clear, to pair that legislative action with some form of enforcement, immigration enforcement, border security. It makes sense. It's a reasonable trade. It should be a layup for Congress to get this done, but we are living in a very polarized time in a very dysfunctional city.
Yeah, A.B., sometimes doing what makes sense in Washington isn't necessarily easy.
Yes, John, in 12 legislative days before the end of the fiscal year on September 30th, Congress has to come together. A unified Republican government with Republicans in charge of both the House and Senate have to come together to reauthorize a children's health insurance program, to try to reauthorize the flood insurance program, to raise the debt ceiling, to provide relief to victims of the storm Harvey and potentially Irma. At this point, they would love to pass a budget through the House and Senate in order to get reconciliation instructions for tax reform. They don't think they will. They'd love to get this DACA grenade off their table. They know that they won't by September 30th, but we're not even sure they can keep the government funded and open without threat of a shutdown, let alone get through this debt ceiling increase fight. All these things must be done, and everyone wants them to be done, and already they have no idea about a path forward. Which bill to couple with what? What is a must-pass vehicle that would be easy to shove something else that's more difficult onto? So it's in the planning and the strategy in the months ahead of how you deal with this immigration question that's really going to sink or swim the Republicans on this issue. If they get into next year and they haven't done tax reform, they've almost shut the government down, and they haven't repealed and replaced Obamacare, and they're talking about what do we do for the dreamers, I think there's going to be very little momentum on the Republican side to get something done. Then you get to March 5th, and you have a president that said if they blow it, maybe I'll reconsider. There's not a lot of incentive for Democrats or Republicans who are opposed to this to make a big deal with the president.
Well, and there's not a lot of incentive, Guy, for Democrats to help Republicans out with this particular problem. They seem to be saying that the sky is falling regarding DAPA, or DACA, I should say, without doing much to try to help fix the problem.
That's right, and for all the caterwauling we're hearing from Democrats and the Facebook post yesterday from former President Barack Obama, they seem to forget or ignore the fact that they controlled everything with supermajorities and huge majorities in 2009 and 2010. When the dreamers were still dreaming and striving, they did nothing. So there has been some bipartisan inaction on this question. I think Democrats are going to have to be challenged. Are you willing to make a common sense compromise with Republicans if the Republicans can get on the same page, which is a big if, or are they going to say you have to give us everything we want, a clean bill, or else we're going to obstruct and deny President Trump any sort of cooperation or any sort of win? There are political incentives here on both sides not to get a deal done, even though logistically and policy-wise it should be a pretty easy one to accomplish.
We'll see what Washington does. Guy Benson, A.B. Stoddard. We have to leave it there. Thank you both.